The idea was that we would bring the various schools at Harvard together in ways where there's inquiry happening on a particular issue, that they would be able to look at it in a cross-disciplinary way. Once the urban planning and the religious studies folks wanted to come together, there was also interest from the public health school. And there was interest from the business school folks as well, because each of these aspects are so relevant to the Mela.
The Mahakumbh Mela occurs every 12 years. The estimates for how many people will pass through here in the aggregate varies, in the tens of millions, certainly 30 million at its peak. There is no other agglomeration of humanity at that scale anywhere on the face of the earth. And so it's a real interesting laboratory within which some deep questions about all sorts of issues: urbanization, public health, property rights, social agglomeration, epidemiology, all sorts of questions can be asked. So that's the reason why we zeroed in on it and decided to create the infrastructure to allow researchers to come here.
From the design school's perspective, we're interested in this question of extreme urbanism because this is a condition where a megacity is built temporarily. We think it has relevance for the rapidly growing cities in India. But more importantly, I think temporality as a condition is going to manifest itself much more in the world with the kind of disasters we see. So whether it's refugee camps or emergency housing, how can one actually deploy a viable urban system very, very quickly?
We're trying to build a three-dimensional map of all the Kumbh area. Where does everything comes from? What is the footprint it lives in all the region? This is like a window for looking at technology at every 12 years. So you can trace back what are the main advances, and this year is our cell phones.
People who come here are convenienced, you might say, by the fact that there is this wonderful grid of an urban infrastructure that has been placed here so that they can live here for a month or for a few days. But the reason they come is something far more nuanced than that. They come because they want to bathe in the meeting rivers, in the Sangam of the Ganga and the Yamuna and the Saraswati. And they come because they want to have the blessings of the religious teachers. Our students are mapping in a different sense. They're looking at the meaning behind the facades, at what takes place on these streets and within these pavilions.
We are doing a seminar.
I came initially with the goal to figure out sort of the flow of how flowers got here. So from fields to trucks to markets to trucks to the Mela and then being sold. And I wanted to figure out who was selling them, who was buying them, and how they were being used. But when I got here, I realized that the new direction of the Kumbh has been a sort of environmental one. So this Green Kumbh movement has really opened my eyes to the problem of flowers being sort of ending up in the Ganga here on the banks.
My role is to think, how can I take this experience, bring it into something that's bite-sized for a discussion for business people that's interesting to them, that gives them the feel of the Mela, but also exercises basic skills in finance planning and city development, and ideally stretches business people's thinking about how to compete with resource efficiency.
It's really interesting to think about the social networks of these vendors, specifically the illegal vendors. None of them are really making a profit, and we think it's interesting because this sort of social idea that the Kumbh is this huge commercial space is actually leading them to overserve the market.
You tell me. What's that? What if you saw a spike?
So we had a project in mind to support the Kumbh administration, for them to have a data set to look at their healthcare utilization and the potential for outbreaks over the course of the Kumbh. We call it surveillance. And surveillance just is that. It is looking for symptoms or diseases that may occur in the population in time and place, and to be able to identify that rapidly, and then to be able to investigate it. There's a network of the sector hospitals at the field level that we've engaged, and we're going to track their registries. So all the patients they see in any given day over time. We've set up a system for them to digitize all this information on iPads.
And so I think what we should kind of do from here. Over 400,000 patients that have been treated thus far at the hospitals in the Kumbh Mela area. Our study has captured about 10% of those patients, over 30,000, making it the largest data set that's ever been recorded for a transient mass gathering patient population. It gives you a lot of insight into a lot of the disease burden and a lot of the treatments and a lot of the resources that are required to manage a population of this size.
What I've found is once we are here, the students are asking the questions that are relevant to another discipline. Our hope is it'll bring the various schools and disciplines together to start to see where the overlap of questions are, as well as what were some of the observations that they found that would be relevant to further research.